Let's head on down to Texas and talk to the man from Mars himself. Looking at some of the headlines here, Russia Today covering the Obamacare Supreme Court disaster. Top Obama lawyer says Obamacare unconstitutional? ? That's another story on RT. We'll see. Meanwhile, Romney collects apparently about $1 million in an hour and says he's going to appeal it and have it overturned. He will repeal Obamacare. Is that Jim laughing down there?
That's me snickering. Anybody that believes that Romney, the ultimate
bootlicker,
is actually going to do away with any of that thing, they just got nothing.
Remember, it doesn't even come online till 2014. Here's the story, just for fun. Soon after the Supreme Court handed down its decision upholding the landmark health care reform law. It's not health care reform, it's a damn
nothing
tax.
Health care about it. You try to, you just hide and watch. Before long, under Obamacare, you won't be able to buy vitamin C.
That's right. Exactly right. 2,700
People just
pages.
Don't understand. They do not understand. And when they finally grasp what's happening to them, it's going to be like, what have we done? And then it's too late. And then the thought police will be after them.
Well, the pot will be boiling and they're dead. Here, look, here's the deal. It's not health care reform, as you know. It's another form of severe taxation.
In fact, that's what the Supreme Court said, right? They said no more of this arguing commerce, interstate commerce clause. This is a tax.
It's IRS. Okay,
so if they can tax you because you refuse to buy their health care inflated insurance, then what can they not tax you for? Okay?
Of course.
You don't like asparagus?
The precedent
you better buy
obvious.
some asparagus or you're going to get hit with the asparagus tax.
I know. I'm going
and I know people think, oh, that's just silly as hell, but
no, I didn't.
God, look what's happening to us. Look at what's happening to us. This is incredible. Just on the news, I just heard there, we got the 82nd Airborne and they're shooting each other. Okay, why is that? Because of those psychotropic drugs. Okay, this is absolutely incredible.
Those poor troops, boys and girls, what they really are in many cases, are so drugged out, they don't know which end is up. It's amazing. And they're finished. 150,000 of them are earmarked to commit suicide when they come back home, within X number of years. 150,000.
I know. And they'll be shooting their families and their neighbors. And,
absolutely. But those stories won't even make the news anymore.
No, it'll be a roundup deal. See, I go so far back, I can remember when there was an armed robbery in Fort Worth, Texas, a major city. It made front page news.
Not anymore.
An armed robbery at the 7-Eleven. Holy shit. We can't have that.
Now, no more.
And now, pretty soon, it was just the roundup,
That's right. That's right. Now, and
pretty soon, it was just, last week there were 14 armed robberies. And it's back in the, pretty soon we're putting it in the police blotter.
But don't worry.
2 lost dogs and a missing person and 14 armed robberies.
Don't worry.
Well,
be happy.
Another average week.
Be happy. Don't worry. Here's the good news for the day. World's first GMO human babies born.
Oh, I saw that.
The disclosure that 30 healthy babies were born after a series of experiments in the United States provoked another furious debate about ethics. Ethics.
What do we know about ethics? Forget it. There's no ethics. Eric Holder showed us that.
Deadwood.
He's the first guy in U.S. history to be cited for contempt of Congress, a cabinet minister, no less. And what was it over? Was it some kind of serious, foreign policy dispute or maybe a constitutional crisis? No. He was withholding information about how the Department of Justice approved the Fast and Furious sending thousands of high-powered weapons to the Mexico drug dealers so that they could then put out their propaganda about 90% of those weapons down in the drug dealers are coming from the United States. We got to shut down the gun shows and the gun dealers, after it was the BATF that went to the gun dealers and strong-armed them into selling the weapons to the Mexican drug thugs. Well, are we just insane or what? Listen,
It's beyond
I'm just
that.
going nuts here. This is not even the United States that I was born into.
No.
Look what's happening. Our soldiers are shooting each other. When the Secretary of Defense, Panetta, goes to Afghanistan, he disarms the Marines around him. Who's he afraid of?
Had to. You
okay?
damn right.
Had to, of course.
Yep.
And the military's in near revolt. They just don't quite know what to do, and they don't want to. And they realize that the globalists, the people who are causing all of this, have control over the media, the mass media, and if they try to go up and march on the White House and arrest Obama and some of the rest of those traitorous criminals, that they'll be, that'll be styled as a military revolt, and everybody will get upset. So they're kind of hamstrung. If you're upset about all this, then you need psychiatric help, and you better take some pills.
Got it. SSRIs. Right on. You're depressed. You're depressed.
Nuts,
Yeah.
And I was way ahead of my time here 2 years ago when I tried to title my book "The $1 Trillion Conspiracy." That was forced on me. My title was "Zombie Nation," and we're a bunch of zombies.
We talked about that, and you hit it right on the money, and they wouldn't let you use it.
No, couldn't use it, and because we're a bunch of zombies. I mean, any civilized country that would allow government agents to stick their hands down your pants is in big, deep trouble. And we don't even realize it. We're just blithely going on, oh, well, I don't want to talk politics. Come on. This is not politics, folks. This is a globalist takeover and the destruction of the United States.
It is. Nothing less.
Pardon my language.
No, nothing less.
As George W. Bush said in a cabinet meeting when they said this might go against the Constitution, he said, it's just a goddamn piece of paper.
That's right.
That's the way he looked at it. That's the way Obama looks at it. That's the way John Holder looks at it. That's the way Ben Bernanke looks at it. They don't give a flying damn about the United States.
No. They're above all laws and answerable to nobody.
Exactly. And up until very recently, I've been screaming this, saying, look what's coming for 30, 40 years now. But up until very, very recently, just within the last couple of 3 years, you try to say anything about it, well, you're just a conspiracy theorist.
Mm-hmm.
Well, folks, the conspiracy theory is about to bite you in the behind.
I'd say it already has.
Already has. And most people hadn't quite even waked up to it. They just, hey, something ain't right.
No, are you kidding?
I don't know what.
How do you wake up the dead?
Well, you don't.
It's not going to happen.
Don't, especially when all they have to do is grab another beer out of the fridge and settle back and watch some zany sitcom on TV.
Sexcom.
Yeah, a sexcom. I'm old enough to remember when every now and then they'd slip an innuendo in on...
Is that a medical procedure?
Yeah, I think so. They open you up and anyway, they, at mature viewing hours, between 9, 10 o'clock at night, some of those shows, I remember Dean Martin, Bob Hope even got a little racy one time, and they'd throw an innuendo and it was really a hoot, boy. And now there's nothing can shock anybody. I mean,
You know how many people have been killed in Mexico over our war on drugs? Over 50,000.
Yeah.
50,000.
And it's spilling over here. And what's the Obama administration solution to that? Do they strengthen border security? No, they put up signs down in southern Arizona saying, caution, the drug dealers kind of run this part of the country, so watch out for yourself. Call 911 after it's too late. I mean, this is nuts, folks. We're just insane. We're just insane. And when you watch TV and you're snowed by the media and you're whipsawed into that right, left, liberal, conservative paradigm and arguing with each other back and forth, nothing gets done. And that's what started me snickering when you were citing how Obama says immediately he turns it into politics. Well, you got to vote for me so I can vote down Obamacare. And so what they'll do is they'll, it's like a high school paper you get from your buddy. They'll change the title to Romney Care. And then they'll say, that's okay, folks. We just get more of the same.
It's all, we live in a culture, it's not a culture, we live in a petri dish of labels. Yeah. Labels and spin.
Yeah.
Labels and spin.
Icons.
Always.
Yeah. And well, that's all that most people can deal with. And unfortunately, it's true. When you're in junior high school, you didn't know anything except just your own limited perspective from, your childhood. And so about the only thing you could really talk about was other people. Billy likes Susie, but Susie doesn't like Billy. Susie likes Johnny. Then you talk about your friends, so you just talk about people. And then, after you got into high school and maybe got into college some, you got a little smarter and you got a little, your perspective broadened a little bit. And all of a sudden, you could talk about events. Wow, did you see the Supreme Court did today? Wow, what are we going to do about Iran? Wow, world situation. Have late night conversations. But as you mature, and as you travel, and as you actually learn about the world, then if you become wise, which unfortunately only happens to just a small percentage of us, then you become wise. And you begin to deal in concepts like freedom, socialism versus free market capitalism. Things like that. So things that the great thinkers in history have dealt with. And
speaking
but we don't have that much anymore because they've dumbed down the education system.
Indeed. All right, hold on just a second. We'll take a break. Come right back. Another thing, James, I've never seen so much, I can't call it news, but so much happening all the time that's all over the internet, in the media. Now, I'm not talking about the MSM doing a great job here. I'm just talking about the amount of material that's out there. Junk, trash, garbage, good stories, important stories, twisted stories, corrupted stories. It doesn't matter. There's too much. It's total overload everywhere you look.
Information overload, and that way, even people, you and I, who try to keep up with it, we can't keep up with it. And you take the poor guy and gal that has to work and take care of a family,
and they want to make a half.
They can't keep up with it.
They want to make an effort. No,
that's why That's why they're being forced to trust their politicians and the news media, both of which are traitorous bums because they've been bought out by the corporate globalists.
They've been bought out before they even get...
If anybody doubts me, by the way, let me just, well, go ahead. You tell them something while I'll look up something.
The bottom line is real simple. You don't get to run for major office unless you're already bought out.
Exactly.
You don't get to win major office unless you're lock, stock, and barrel owned and operated by any number of globalists and their organizations. Probably the lead would have to be AIPAC. Let's be honest, all right?
No, it's not just AIPAC.
I'm talking about the lead. You got a list of 10 and they're right up there near the top. It's up there.
Right.
You don't support Israel and Israeli money coming out of this Congress. You don't go anywhere. You don't get the money.
Well, you've got a really, really tough time of it, but just a minute, I'll show you who controls everything. This is it, man. The Center for Responsive Politics, right? It's a non-profit, non-partisan group in Washington who simply tracks the campaign money. Okay, so now let's look at this. Here's the leading campaign contributors to Mitt Romney. Number 1, Goldman Sachs. Number 2, J.P. Morgan Chase. Number 3, Bank of America. Number 4, Morgan Stanley. Number 5, Credit Suisse Group, the giant Swiss international Bilderberger bank. And next, Citigroup, okay?
Well, what's that tell you? That tells you he's going to win.
Exactly. And I can prove that because, hey, that's where all the top money. Now, that's the 2012 election cycle. Right. Here's the 2012
I renamed J.P. Morgan, by the way.
For Obama, okay? The leading one, well, for one thing, the top one for Romney was Goldman Sachs with $593,000. Top one for Obama is Microsoft with $387,000. Second, grab this, the University of California, $330,000.
Really?
Wait a minute. If I send my kid to
Isn't that
the
a little
University of
odd?
California and taking ungodly amounts of money for tuition,
What's
and
wrong
they're
with that
sending
picture?
$330,000 to the Obama campaign, a political campaign,
Something
that's not
wrong.
right.
I'm wrong.
And then
there.
we get to Google, we get to Sidley Austin, we get to Harvard University, Comcast, Stanford University, finally Time Warner, and then way down here at $149,000 and $147,000 is the U.S. government and the U.S. State Department. What? What? My taxes go to these government entities and they support the Obama campaign? That's not right either. But it does sound like, well, at least Obama is not, in the pocket of these banks. But wait a minute. That's the 2012 election cycle. Let's go back to 2008 election cycle.
You're doing this is journalism here. This is a good report.
And again, we find 1.6 million coming from the University of California. Then next at 1,013,000, Goldman Sachs. And then we got J.P. Morgan. Then we got Citigroup. And then we got Time, Morgan, General Electric, Morgan Stanley. They're all on there. So in other words, the same people that bought Obama have now put their money on Romney. So you really think Romney's going to do anything different than Obama? No, he's being bought and paid for by the very same people and the very same organization.
The most we're going to see is a little eyewash here and there. And
they'll change Obamacare to Romney Care.
They'll restructure it somewhat. They'll make it 2,600 pages instead of 2,700 pages.
Yeah, let's say we've trimmed it down. So.
Right.
It's just incredible. And the thing is, what people just cannot accept is that this is not Obama. This is not Romney. This
Nothing
is
to
not
do
the
with them.
Koch brothers.
Nothing
this
to
is
do
not
with
George Soros.
No.
This is our system. Our system is broke because we just turned away, started watching television.
We abdicated responsibility for We abdicated responsibility for our republic.
Yep.
We were conned, and
that's why the last person. No, wait a minute. Let me think. Have I ever voted for anybody that got in? I'll take it back. I'm going to be honest with you. In 1968, I voted for Richard Nixon. Sorry to say.
No, it's all right. Look, what he did was
a giant mistake, but I did it, and I'll fess up. In 72, by then, I realized he was a crook, and I didn't vote for him.
Oh, you voted for
But everybody else voted, and he got in on a landslide.
Yeah.
In 72, and now most people won't admit they voted for him because he turned out to be exactly the crook that I tried to tell people he was in 1972.
But which one isn't a crook?
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
Maybe you can go back to Barry.
I just got hornswoggled in 68.
Did you vote for Barry Goldwater?
So I have never voted for. I've never voted for any president we've had since 1968.
Did you vote for Goldwater?
I did.
And then, I would have too.
And then they told me that if I voted for Barry Goldwater in 1964, my first election, that there'd be riots in the city streets and we'd have a big war in Vietnam. And damn, they weren't right.
Sickening.
Of course, he didn't get in. It was Johnson that did all that, but never mind.
Never mind.
And the thing is, it's been clear, at least to me and a lot of other folks, but it hadn't been clear to the majority because they watch TV.
No, they're drugged out. They're so misdirected, they don't know what the hell's going on. And that's the game. And the younger people are dumber than they are. It's getting to be unbelievable. I'm sorry. And look, some of you folks listening are young, and you know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
You know what we're talking about. You're the exception. You're the only hope we have.
Junior high school, all that most young people can talk about, except they don't talk. They text and they Twitter and they get on my face. Okay?
Well, you saw that the 9...
And they talk about, Billy likes Susie, but Susie doesn't like Billy. She likes Billy. And they went to this club, and then they're going skiing over here, and then they're going bike trailing over here. Just talk about people.
A lot of them are now on their little phones. Simply, they're on the internet, and they're dialing up porn. Remember, you saw that story about those 7 or was it 9 boys in a San Diego middle school classroom?
Hey, you're talking about practicing safe sex.
I've seen him practice.
Won't be any problem there.
Be right back. No venereal disease.
No VD. No entangling relationship.
They don't call it VD anymore. They call it STD. Be right back with Jim Mars. Okay, and we're back. Glad you're along tonight. It's a Thursday night, a dark day. A dark day.
Are you ready for the sign of the zombie apocalypse? I mean, you know about the man that was fighting naked with a man in Florida and then was eating his face and the police had to shoot him, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, yesterday, in Waco, Texas, 22-year-old.
I got it. Yeah, geez.
He had a bad trip. Got on his hands and knees, chasing a neighbor while barking, growling like a dog, then grabbed the family's pet dog off the porch and started attacking him, bit into the dog, ripping pieces of flesh away. The dog died at the scene. And the man who said he was having a bad trip on K2, which the Associated Press describes as a form of synthetic marijuana, had a bad trip, and he's arrested, and he's being held, and I think bail is denied. Okay. Now, wait a minute. Number one, synthetic marijuana. What the hell is that? Because marijuana comes from cannabis sativa, a plant, a weed. Why that just grows wild.
I don't get it.
It's a chemical.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a chemical drug, and now they're trying to tie that to pot so they can keep pot illegal, even though, there are God knows how many thousands or millions of people.
Marijuana made him do it. That's the message.
Yeah, that's the message, which is totally wrong. There's no such thing as synthetic marijuana. It's either the plant matter, which there's never been any cases of people going crazy. There's never been any overdose deaths. Okay, in fact, here's the thing. Let me tell you what Obamacare has subjected us to.
By the way, a major insurance company said that drivers who smoke pot routinely are safer. Go ahead.
Oh, I know they are, because I've seen studies where they put them on link trainers.
Yep.
And people that basically the basic thing was people who were legally drunk, 0.10 or more alcohol,
right,
did 20% worse or more, on a test, and then people who were normal had, they had a few accidents, but they, probably commiserate to the population, and then people who were high, I don't know, maybe because they thought they were in a video game or something, but they did better than the normal people.
That's right.
I knew that.
All right, go ahead with your
Here's
story.
the thing on Obamacare, okay? The leading cause of death in the United States today is heart attacks, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Second leading cause of death is stroke. The third leading cause of death in the United States today is medical treatment, okay? Bad surgical techniques, things go wrong, got the wrong prescription, took the wrong thing. Oh,
and that includes,
Jim, too many after effects.
Yeah, that includes the proper and correct use of medications, by the way, by the AMA.
We're not talking about illegal drugs. We're talking about legal medical procedure. And now they have sentenced us to fine or imprisonment if we don't accept the third leading cause of death.
That's a good way to look at it, yeah.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just nuts.
It's preposterous.
I don't know what drives me nuts more. The fact that evil, greedy, grasping, conscienceless people in our Congress and in the big farm corporations want to kill us and try to foist all this stuff off on us, or that the zombies out here are accepting it and going for it.
Right. Well,
I want my health care.
Look how calm the Clinton days look.
Oh yeah, it looks absolutely idyllic.
And you know what? Somebody told me the other day. I mentioned this last week. These, right now, are the good old days of tomorrow.
The good old days. That's right. Oh boy, when 2014 hits, when Obamacare goes into effect, as it looks like it's going to, when the doctor's pool dries up, you can't get to a doctor. When you do, he's so strangled by red tape and government restrictions and directives that he can't do anything for you. And when you say, well, look, how about if I smoke a little marijuana so I get these cancer pains to go away? You go, no, you can't do that. You're off the plan. You can't get any treatment. You can't get any medicine. And plus they'll fine you. Maybe even put you in jail. I mean, whatever happened to the concept of freedom? Whoa. Who would ever thought that, man? As long as you're not hurting anybody, you ought to be able to do any damn thing you want to do. Okay? It's that simple. And with the freedom also, of course, comes self-responsibility.
I was going to say responsibility.
You should accept freedom, and you should accept the price.
And right with that is what?
As self-responsibility.
Responsibility and accountability.
And accountability. That's right. See, and that's where we've totally got off the mark. If you go out in your car, Jeff, and you run over somebody, you're held accountable. But if you form a corporation and you poison 1 million people, you're not accountable. They can't get you. Why? It's just a corporation. That's wrong. Okay? That is wrong. Everybody has to be accountable. And the people who are making these decisions and the people who are poisoning us, people who are giving us bad drugs, people who are lying about GMO products and trying to keep the labeling out and not telling people what they're doing to them, they ought to be held responsible. It's that simple. We hold individuals responsible. We should hold corporations responsible. But they have now gained so much power that they run the government, they run the Supreme Court. You know, they tell them what to do. It's not right. I mean, it's not what this country was set up to do. And if Jefferson, Franklin, yeah, even Hamilton and John Adams and the rest of them, if they were alive today, they'd be taking down their flintlocks.
Oh yeah. Look, logic died first, and then common sense right with it.
Yeah. And
then responsibility and accountability were next. We got a graveyard of morals and values that this country was founded and predicated upon.
That's right. And we're not talking about stuffy, nitpicky rules and regulations and commandments that you could probably argue over. We're talking about just very basic values, like you should not do anything that harms somebody else. Okay?
Common sense.
Common sense.
Golden rule.
Common sense is out the window. Read a story the other day talking about no common sense. Somewhere in Florida, some policeman and a buddy were having illicit sex with a woman that's not his wife in a motel, having a threesome, okay? And he had a heart attack and died. And the widow sues his doctor for $6 million because he failed to warn him that having a sandwich in a motel might have been hazardous to his health. He's probably overweight anyway. He's eating donuts. Now, to show how insane we are, that should have never even reached a court. Sorry, lady, that's between you and your husband. But it did, and so a jury of our fine esteemed fellow citizens says, well, $6 million does seem a little bit exorbitant for the fact that this guy did all this to himself, you know. So they cut it to $3 million. So she got $3 million because her husband had gone out cheating on her and had illicit sex with two partners in a motel.
She deserved every penny.
Are we insane or what?
Of course. Remember, what was it?
Common sense. Sorry, that's got nothing to do with the public good. It's a private matter between him and his wife. Get the hell out of this court.
Should be. Remember the woman who fell off the cable car in San Francisco and turned into a nymphomaniac and won several $100,000? She'd pull that today. She'd probably win that $3 million.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Hold on. Be right back. Politics and the madness of war, which is going on as we speak, people dying, killing. We've been in Afghanistan now almost, over 11 years. And you look at the human side of things, what we're being exposed to by the corporate giants, Monsanto and all the rest of them. They don't care about human life, right? Bisphenol A, BPA, used in food packaging, now has been shown to cause changes in human behavior and genetic expression. There's DNA changes for up to 4 generations after a simple, single exposure to it. BPA. That's just one. We come into contact with over, I think it's 15,000 different chemicals a day, one way or another. That doesn't mean we inhale or eat them or ingest them, but they're there. I mean, it's crazy. The planet's being ruined. The Pacific Ocean is now gone. More and more people are beginning to say, don't eat anything that comes out of the Pacific Ocean, and that's right. Shouldn't do it. And the bioaccumulation aspect of the radiation coming out of Fukushima is undeniable. It's there. They're dumping, admittedly, 1,000 tons of highly radioactive water a day into the ocean. That's the admitted amount. It could be 10 times that much. We don't know. And you don't see a word about that in the MSM over here, Jim. Nothing.
No. Everything's okay, folks. Just keep watching TV.
How many? 250 channels for $29.95 a month.
Yep.
Or something.
Yep.
It's
pretty
crazy.
Incredible.
It is. I don't know where to go with it, but we just keep doing what we can do. I think you should ask him to bring your book out in a new cover with it. Put that Zombie America name back on it.
Well, everything I said in there is coming true with a vengeance. And
well, of course it is.
So.
What is it with the zombie stuff? Is it a spin-off from the movies? Are they doing something in those films now, electromagnetically somehow, or some subliminals to push people who are nuts already over the edge? What's going on with that?
I don't know. That's a good question. You know, I think we've discussed this before about what comes first, you know, art or real life. Personally, I think that there is a subconscious movement going on, desensitizing the public, and particularly young people, to blood and guts and rough sex and promiscuous sex and everything else.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that is the type of world they're going to have to live in.
Well, that's the excuse. That's what the purveyors of this are saying. We're giving them a chance to be normal in a world that features all these things. And
yeah. No. See, what you and I would consider normal is now passé. That's a
like
world that no longer exists.
Gone.
But, you know, as things tighten up and we go in further and further into the police state and into the 1984 Orwellian society and more false flag attacks, more radiation, people become more and more sick, food becomes more and more scarce. It's going to be dog eat dog, and they are being prepared for that. And like I said, I'm not even sure. I'm not even going to go so far as to say this is a conscious effort on the part of anybody. I think there is a thing in Hollywood that says, well, now let's see the zombie movie where they tore off people's head and split people down the middle and showed it very graphically. Well, gee, that's been done. What can we do to?
Well, they also measure all these different effects in terms of box office. They know what a decapitation is worth. They know what a murder is worth. They know what a rape is worth.
Exactly. So, you know, if a decapitation's, you know, worth 6 points on the rating scale for your movie, then hey, 10 decapitations ought to put you in the big money. So, you know, Now, I know that happens. That kind of comes under corporate greed and insanity.
Well, then it becomes a matter
something we always have to deal with. I'm saying I think there is, on a deeper level, I think there is a group consciousness that understands that we're going to go into this incredible period, and we are being conditioned for it.
There's also a certain amount, actually it's a major amount, of inertia. Once these things start to take hold, there's no turning them around. It's like trying to stop a super tanker. It's an inexorable slide in whatever direction it's going, and it doesn't change because it's driven by greed, it's driven by profits, it's driven by money, and it's driven by idiots.
Fear.
Hate, of course.
Well, it starts with fear. Fear is the basic thing. See, there's only two real emotions, and that's fear and love. And if you start with fear, then fear, if you become fearful, then you start hating, okay? And if you start hating, then you'll accept violence. And then pretty soon you'll accept war, and you're off into the darkness, okay? Love, on the other hand, is just, it doesn't go anywhere. If you've got true love, then everything's fine, and you're going to stay there, you know? But fear devolves into worse things.
There's a story I'm going to put up tonight. It's pretty good. The title is good anyway. Americans are being conditioned for full-spectrum tyranny.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's not just political tyranny.
Well,
I look at it in a bigger picture.
The thing is, everybody knows that from Hitler, Mussolini, you know, they've known it all throughout history. Again, you start with fear. Okay, you make people fearful. You make people fearful of government, then they'll go along with anything. Okay, and once you've got them fearful long enough, then it's easy to make them hate the thing that's making them.
And easy to make them want to kill
even
it.
if it's false. Right. You know, we've been told we're supposed to be hating all of these fundamentalist Muslims, although, you know, a case can be made that's not fundamentalist Muslims at all, actually. You know, yeah, there's some fanatics that left to themselves. They would.
Doesn't matter. 1% is all you need, and you can make a big case and smear the whole group.
You know, I'll tell you what, I'm not totally sold on this, but I've been really paying attention to some of the European media and some of the alternate media here. And, you know, we're about to go to war in Syria, which, of course, was on Donald Rumsfeld's and
they had it on their agenda.
They had it on their agenda for years. You know, that's just one of them. We're going to take Iraq, we're going to take Afghanistan, and we're going to take Syria, and we're going to take Libya. And they've been working right down their list. And so, of course, we're being bombarded with the idea that Assad, it's his regime that's just so god-awful, and he's massacring people. And we have to go in there to save all these people. But you start reading and you start really paying attention to things and reading the details and looking at alternative things, and no, it's not the government at all. It's the revolutionary bunch who's, of course, backed by us and Britain. And they're the ones committing the atrocities and then blaming it on Assad. And, of course, our bought-up, paid-for corporate media, all they report's the one side. So, you know, we're being, again, sucked into a war because of fear turned to hatred that's based on a false flag.
They're going to do it anyway. They've done everything but call Assad the new Hitler.
That's right.
They can't keep using that.
They kind of wore that one out. Saddam Hussein. And now after, you know, we have totally trashed Iraq and set them up with a new democratic government, which is falling apart, and they're still fighting with each other. And I think certainly the Iraqis have quickly figured out there's worse things than Saddam Hussein, and I think we're beginning to figure that out too.
If we don't end this police state America now, we never will.
I know.
Our grandchildren will be.
As soon as they get those 30,000 killer drones in the air. By the way, I think, did you see where one of them is now? The one I mentioned in my new book, which is not out yet, and I'm already behind the times, was actually kind of humorous. It was a sheriff's department north of Houston, Texas, that Houston got shamed into stopping, at least temporarily, their drone program because they were doing it surreptitiously. And when people found out about it, they raised Cain, and so the mayor said, okay, we're not going to do that. But there was a county sheriff north of Houston, and they got a drone, but it was just kind of like a little remote control helicopter thing, you know, almost like a toy thing on it. And it's one of its first test flights that they lost control and it crashed into their armored car.
Good.
So that was almost humorous. But now, here just the other day, a full-scale Global Hawk, which is the size of a small commuter jet, crashed in Maryland, I believe it was.
Those things go down more, apparently.
Debris and wreckage all over the place, and thank God it didn't hit anything, you know. But hey, get 30,000 in the air. How long is it going to be for some airliner taking off for landing hits one, or they lose control out of it and it crashes into a.
Well, the local police department will hire some computer game jockey to run it ultimately, and he'll fly it into a 747.
Yeah. He'll get all souped up on sugar over his lunch break and say, I'm going to make the next level.
Yeah, I don't know. You know where we're going to be in 5 years? There are going to be drones over every major urban city all the time, 24/7. They're going to have infrared. They're going to have everything. They'll be able to influence
if
people.
We're lucky, the geophysical earth changes will take place before then, and we're all going to be worrying about a whole lot more serious stuff than the drone overhead.
Yeah, a lot of people.
We're already should be worrying about radiation, but of course, not on TV, so it can't be happening.
Can't be. No, it was not there. There's I think 18 and a half minutes of news, so-called news, in the average half-hour network newscast. That's it. These people watch that, talking heads, and they think they've actually been informed. What they've been is brainwashed.
Exactly.
Programmed. James, thank you. It's pretty crazy out here. I guess I'll talk to you after the 4th of July. I ain't going to be quite as happy as usual. But
well, hey, strange things are happening. Just keep abreast.
All right. Take care. Night, Jim.
Adios.
All right. Okay, thanks for being here. We'll be back with you tomorrow night. Friday already. Wow. Talk soon.
What could you do if you felt better? A tennis match? 18 holes of golf? Swimming laps around the pool? Well, you could make these activities a reality just by using Heart and Body Extract, a 100% organic nutritional supplement. It's a liquid formula you simply take 3 times a day. It's designed to balance and support the heart and circulatory system. What makes it so effective is that it goes right into the blood vessels in minutes and starts to work, replacing elements that are missing in your body that are usually associated with poor heart and body circulation, with no negative side effects. Plus, only Heart and Body Extract comes with a lifetime guarantee. It works or your money back. To order, visit hbextract.com or call 866-295-5305. That's 866-295-5305.
Yeah, it was way ahead of my time here 2 years ago when I tried to title my book, The $1 Trillion Conspiracy. That was forced on me. My title was Zombie Nation. And we're a bunch of zombies.
We talked about that, and you hit it right on the money, and they wouldn't let you use it.
No, couldn't use it. And because we're a bunch of zombies. I mean, any civilized country that would allow government agents to stick their hands down your pants is in big, deep trouble. And we don't even realize it. And we're just blithely going on, oh, well, I don't want to talk politics. Come on. This is not politics, folks. This is a globalist takeover and the destruction of the United States.
It is. Nothing less.
Pardon my language.
No, nothing less.
As George W. Bush said in a cabinet meeting when they said this might go against the Constitution, he said, it's just a goddamn piece of paper.
That's right.
That's the way he looked at it. That's the way Obama looks at it. That's the way John Holder looks at it. That's the way Ben Bernanke looks at it. They don't give a flying damn about the United States.
Nope. They're above all laws and answerable to nobody.
Exactly. And up until very recently, I've been screaming this, saying, look what's coming for 30, 40 years now. But up until very, very recently, just in the last couple of 3 years, you try to say...
Okay, let's head on down to Texas and talk to the man from Mars himself. Looking at some of the headlines here, Russia Today covering the Obamacare Supreme Court disaster. Top Obama lawyer says Obamacare unconstitutional? ? That's another story on RT. We'll see. Meanwhile, Romney collects apparently about $1 million in an hour and says he's going to appeal it and have it overturned. He will repeal Obamacare. Is that Jim laughing down there?
That's me snickering. Anybody that believes that Romney, the ultimate
Bootlicker. Bootlicker.
Is actually going to do away with any of that thing. They just got nothing.
Remember, it doesn't even come online till 2014. Here's the story, just for fun. Soon after the Supreme Court handed down its decision upholding the landmark health care reform law. It's not health care reform. It's a damn
nothing
tax.
health care about it. You try to, you just hide and watch. Before long, under Obamacare, you won't be able to buy vitamin C.
That's right. Exactly right. 2,700
People just
pages.
don't understand. They do not understand. And when they finally grasp, see, I go so far back. I can remember when there was an armed robbery in Fort Worth, Texas, a major city. It made front page news.
Not anymore.
An armed robbery at the 7-Eleven. Holy sh! You know, we can't have that.
Now, no more.
And now,
Happens
pretty
all the
soon,
time.
it was just the roundup. You know.
That's right. That's right. Now, in some
and
of the
pretty
more
soon, it was just, you know, last week there were 14 armed robberies. And it's back in the, you know, pretty soon we're putting it in the police blotter.
But don't worry.
Two
Don't
lost
worry.
dogs and a missing person and 14 armed robberies.
Don't worry.
Well,
Be
just
happy.
another average week.
Be happy. Don't worry. Oh, here's the good news for the day. World's first GMO human babies born.
Oh, I saw that.
The disclosure that 30 healthy babies were born after a series of experiments in the United States provoked another furious debate about ethics. Ethics.
What do we know about ethics? Forget it. There's no ethics. Eric Holder showed us that.
Deadwood.
He's the first guy in U.S. history to be cited for contempt of Congress, a cabinet minister, no less. And what was it over? Was it some kind of serious, foreign policy dispute or maybe a constitutional crisis? No. He was withholding information about how the Department of Justice approved the Fast and Furious sending thousands of high-powered weapons to the Mexico drug dealers so that they could then put out their propaganda about 90% of those weapons down in the drug dealers are coming from the United States. We got to shut down the gun shows and the gun dealers, after it was the BATF that went to the gun dealers and strong-armed them into selling the weapons to the Mexican drug thugs. Well, are we just insane or what? Listen,
it's beyond
I'm just
that.
going nuts here. This is not even the United States that I was born into.
No.
Look what's happening. Our soldiers are shooting each other. When the Secretary of Defense, Panetta, goes to Afghanistan, he disarms the Marines around him. Who's he afraid of?
Had to. You damn right.
Had to, of course.
Yep.
And the military's in near revolt. They just don't quite know what to do, and they don't want to. And they realize that the globalists, the people who are causing all of this, have control over the media, the mass media. And if they try to go up and march on the White House and arrest Obama and some of the rest of those traitorous criminals, that they'll be, that'll be styled as a military revolt, and everybody will get upset. So they're kind of hamstrung. If you're upset about all this, then you need psychiatric help, and you better take some pills.
Got it. SSRIs. Right on. You're depressed. You're depressed.
Nuts,
Yeah.
And I guess what's happening to them.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be like, what have we done? And then it's too late. And then the thought police will be after them.
Well, the pot will be boiling and they're dead. Here, look, here's the deal. It's not health care reform, as you know. It's another form of severe taxation.
In fact, that's what the Supreme Court said, right? They said no more of this arguing interstate commerce clause. This is a tax.
It's IRS. Okay,
so if they can tax you because you refuse to buy their health care inflated insurance, then can they not tax you for? Okay?
Of course.
You don't like asparagus?
The precedent
you better
is
buy
obvious.
some asparagus, or you're going to get hit with the asparagus tax.
I know. I'm going.
And I know. People think, oh, that's just silly as hell. But
no, I didn't.
God, look what's happening to us. Look at what's happening to us. This is incredible. Just on the news, I just heard there. We got the 82nd Airborne, and they're shooting each other. Okay, why is that? Because of those psychotropic drugs. Okay, this is absolutely incredible.
Those poor troops, boys and girls, what they really are in many cases, are so drugged out, they don't know which end is up.
Right.
It's amazing. And they're finished. 150,000 of them are earmarked to commit suicide when they come back home, within X number of years. 150,000.
I know. And they'll be shooting their families and their neighbors. And,
Absolutely. Well, those stories won't even make the news anymore.
No, it'll be a roundup deal.